Welcome to HealthVision, WOUB's program on medicine and health. I'm your host, Jackie Wolf, Associate Professor of Social Medicine at Ohio University. Today we'll be talking about medical insurance fraud with Glenn Wolf, Manager of Special Investigations for Liberty Mutual Insurance Company and co-chair of the Coalition Against Insurance Fraud. It's a real pleasure to have you here today, Glenn.
It's good to be here. Thank you.
Why don't you tell us first what medical insurance fraud is?
Okay, well, medical insurance fraud, from the perspective of my job and what I do, comes from two different locations. One is an individual who is claiming they were injured, perhaps in an automobile accident, perhaps in a slip and fall type situation, and they want to make a claim for that injury and get paid not only for their medical costs, but also for pain and suffering. And the fraud comes in when they were maybe injured slightly, but are claiming a lot larger of an injury, or they were injured not at all and claiming injury. The other perspective is from a doctor who, when treating this patient, may continue to treat somebody knowing that they're not really injured, or may bill for treatment that they didn't really render, or may help that person, or that individual, exaggerate their injury by providing unnecessary treatment, unnecessary tests, things of that sort.
Tell us why we should even, as consumers, even care about insurance fraud. I mean, isn't really it's the insurance company's problem?
Well, it's really everyone's problem if you understand what insurance is and the purpose of insurance and how insurance works. Insurance is there to protect you for claims people may make against you for the fact that you've caused their injury. And as the cost of injuries escalate, the cost of insurance goes up. And the cost of insurance is what the consumers pay. Insurance companies base their rates based on actual exposures and actual claims that are coming in. So as claims rise, and insurance fraud drives that rise in claim cost, then it's the consumer that ultimately pays.
So insurance is about sharing risk, and if there seems to be so much more risk, the price keeps going up, 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 and a lot of that risk is inflated because we're talking about fraudulent claims here.
That's right.
Let's talk a little bit about some of the common fraudulent schemes, because there are many. I mean, you mentioned auto accidents a little bit, but there are also, talk a little bit about fraudulent claims for health claims for fraudulent injuries, other than auto accidents.
Well, the ones I deal with, other than auto accidents, are things like slip and fall claims, where somebody will fake a slip and fall, and maybe perhaps in someone's home, but usually in a public place, a grocery store perhaps, or a department store, and then will claim that it was the negligence of the department store that caused them to fall and injure themselves. Other situations that we would commonly see would be things like workers' compensation claims, where somebody claims they were injured on the job, and perhaps they were injured, but it wasn't on the job. It was an off-the-job injury. They try to make it a workers' compensation claim, or perhaps they weren't injured at all.
Probably one of the most well-known claims, just in recent years, is what you would call in the business chew and sue. And there was a very well publicized claim about the fingertip in a Wendy's chili. I mean, that was national news a while back. And I wonder how common that is too, that people sue restaurants for faulty food.
Well, yeah, foreign substance, and nothing is as spectacular as a finger found in their chili, like it happened in Wendy's, is not very common. But people will commonly claim foreign objects in food, like insects or things of that sort that they might find. Some of that could be real, because things like that just happen in food preparation. But oftentimes, food preparation restaurants are very careful what they do and how they do it. So a lot of times people will introduce foreign substances in order to make it claim like that.
Now, we should say, of course, that most claims are not fraudulent. Isn't that right? I mean, this really is the aberration.
That's true. I mean, one thing about insurance fraud is it's a hidden crime. No one really knows how much there is out there, because it's hard to investigate. People are very clever in what they do and how they try to cover up. There's a lot of different estimates as to how much is out there, but the vast majority of claims, you're right, are proper claims, need to be handled promptly, paid promptly. People need to be compensated for their injuries. But there is a minority of people and medical providers that pursue fraudulent claims.
How do insurance companies go about even sensing that there might be fraud? Are there certain things that pop up at you that you suddenly decide, uh-oh, we better investigate this one?
Yes, well, insurance companies have commonly lists of what they call red flags that we spend a lot of time training our claim handlers to recognize those red flags. And then when those red flags crop up, it may not mean insurance fraud is really happening, but what it means is we need to investigate that claim more thoroughly than we would a more routine claim to make sure that the claim itself is legitimate before we pay it.
And how, explain what some of those red flags might be. I mean, how, as this crosses a claim adjuster's desk, what are some things that might alert them to something that they really should turn over to the fraud division?
Well, if you're talking about, it really depends upon who you're looking at. If you're looking at the medical doctor, for example, or the doctor that's treating the person, you're looking for things like a pattern of excessive treatment, not just in one case, but in several cases you've seen from this doctor, where the doctor appears to be over-treating somebody more than the diagnosis or the accident really requires. So that would be a common doctor red flag. An individual red flag might be something like someone with a large claim history. Here's somebody who is not just making one claim for the first time, but has made several claims, perhaps even for the same type of injury for several years.
Do insurance companies kind of pool their information? I mean, what if someone goes from state to state, for example, or city to city, and make claims? Is there some way that different insurance companies, this entire group, share information and are able to follow individuals as they go to different companies for claims?
Most property casualty insurance companies belong to what they call a central index system. And insurance companies will report injury information to this central system, and then when a claim is made, the system can be queried to check to see whether people have made claims in the past.
Let's talk a little bit more about doctors, because of course that again is an aberration. Most doctors are completely above board and honest. Do you find that there are certain doctors that keep cropping up over and over and over again who do defraud insurance companies when they make health claims?
There's usually a definite pattern here. Most doctors don't specialize in treating automobile accident victims, but there are doctors out there that do, and they're a small minority, and they will, in this practice, not always, but oftentimes, take this practice and build it into something that is there to assist individual patients and often lawyers as well to help build claims, so that the greater the injury, the more treatment that as a result of that injury, the more valuable that claim can be. So certain doctors will cooperate with that type of activity and provide documentation, medical bills, medical reports for an injury that is not really what the medical documentation says it really is.
And that's really interesting, because I know a very derisive term years ago, I don't know if it's still used for lawyers who specialize in personal injury, was ambulance chasers, because they would literally, go listen to police radios and go to accidents and talk to people into becoming victims, even if they weren't. I hadn't ever realized, though, that there are a few doctors who specialize in treating automobile injuries and are very much like ambulance chasers, in the sense that they're then involved in these fraudulent schemes with the kind of lawyers who show up at accidents and then talk people into filing claims.
And sometimes it works. It's true. I mean, first of all, again, minority of medical providers that do this, but it does have a big impact on the whole cost of insurance and in the system. But there are doctors out there who do advertise that if you're hurt in an automobile accident, come to me and I'll treat you. There'll be phone solicitation that occurs. There are doctors who will go to police departments and pick up all of information, all the automobile accidents that happened in the last couple of weeks, and we'll start making phone calls. I understand you were in an automobile accident. Were you hurt? Well, you may be hurt and not even realize it. Maybe you should come in and get checked out. I can help you, and then if you are injured, I can help you find a lawyer. And a lot of the fraud then is perpetrated in that fashion as well.